Hello, welcome to the Spiritualist Circle of Light. I'm so glad you could be here. Our lesson is going to be drawn from Adolf Frank's The Kabbalah, or the religious philosophy of the Hebrews. This was published in 1926. And we're going to look a little bit into chapter 5, and specifically, this is where he is writing about the perfect human. We are obsessed with this and big idea that we are imperfect. Well, in this application, we are imperfect because he describes the perfect human being as being male and female together. Now, whenever you read these terms in any kind of esoteric writing or occult writing, they're not talking about gender. They're not talking about traditional roles. They're talking about principles. And the male principle is known as the initiating principle. And the female principle is known as, no, not the receptive principle, but the principle of completion. And we can look at the sexual aspects of male and female in order to explain this. Because what is it that happens? Well, the male initiates the reproductive process, and it is completed within the female. This is why you have the male being the initiator and the female being completion. And this is what this represents. So what we're talking about are the principles, the male and female principles. So for the perfect human being, it's not to be androgynous or a hermaphrodite. It's not to be both male and female. It is to embody these two principles, to bring them together, to be neither one holy nor the other holy, but to bring them together. The whole purpose of all of this is union, to come together, because we are fragmented. We have our different versions of ourselves. We have our life, which often appears to be fragmented. We have our societies, our community. We are fragmented. It's just how we exist right now. But when you read these esoteric teachings like Frank's, then they tell of our purpose being union, being unity, being to bring ourselves together, not only on an individual level, but as a family, as a community, as a civilization, as a people. Our purpose is to come together, is to become unified into a single being. But what we have is separation, fragmentation. We see it in society. We see it in ourselves. Where do we start? We can't compel or we can't begin to unite society if we ourselves are not united. And that's what this is about. It's about bringing in the initiator and bringing in the completer. That's probably not even a word. But we have initiation and completion. We bring them together within ourselves. This is what they mean when they say that we are to bring the male and female together. And what happens when male and female to come together. Again, we go back to this whole idea of reproduction. And within that, you have the male initiation, the female completes, but what happens? In between, you have the great mystery. Well, within the womb, life is created. That is a mystery. How is life created? Science can give us all kinds of explanations, all kinds of examples and such, but science has yet to understand life itself. How is life itself created? We've got so many people with this whole idea of artificial intelligence, AI, taking over. We've got several good movies about it. But we don't know what consciousness is. From a scientific standpoint, we know that it is a series of neurons firing as a pattern, firing together to accomplish something. If I am thinking coherently, then I have within my brain here a series of neurons firing, a series of synapses. There was an article put out by National Public Radio several years ago, and the article was about several researchers, scientists who'd gotten together. They purchased a pig's brain, or maybe they purchased the head of a pig, I don't know, but they removed the brain, they cleaned it all up, gave it immersed it in probably some brain nerve growth solution, and applied some electricity. This is all supposition. They didn't really write about the experiment itself. Only that they reanimated the brain. But in this reanimation, neurons fired, but they did not fire in a pattern. There was no synchronous firing. Therefore, there was no consciousness. And that's what consciousness is. When you put the brain under one of these functional MRIs or PET scans, where they're able to monitor the actual firing of the neurons and everything, you see areas of the brain light up. Well, when they reanimated this pig's brain, that wasn't the case. So, from a strictly scientific or material perspective, life or consciousness is the synchronous firing of neurons in the brain. And for that to happen, there has to be some kind of union. Something has to come together. Therein lies the mystery, and that's what this is about. You want to become closer to the divine, you want to become closer to the universe, bring yourself together. Discover what it means to be the initiation and completion. And then discover how to bring the two together. Now, I can't tell you how to do it. I can only give you suggestions. Everybody has all kinds of theories. You've got these spiritual gurus that have all this stuff. Get rid of the ego. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Well, it's not about getting rid of stuff. It's about placing stuff, per se, in its proper place, so that everything works together, so that everything nurtures each other. Within the mystery, everything is one. Everything is nurturing towards a goal. Within the womb, the fetus develops. But it cannot develop unless the process is initiated. And for it to be initiated, it needs a male aspect, an initiator. sperm, if you want to go with that. And then once the two come together, the mystery begins. And the completion is a blending of the two contributors. We are a representation of initiation and completion and the mystery. However, we lose the mystery. And that's what all these esoteric lessons, teachings, and everything else are about, is the mystery. To not only to understand the mystery, because when you understand something, it's no longer mysterious, but to become the mystery. And God is neither the initiator, God is neither initiation, nor is God completion. God is the mystery. And in order to know God, we have to become the mystery. We go back to the teaching of Jesus. When you look at me, you see the Father. For the Father dwells within me, and I dwell within you. Meaning that we are all part of each other. We are the mystery. And only through developing an awareness, expanding our awareness, do we realize that in order for the mystery to be revealed, we have to come together. But the thing is, when we come together, we are focused on this. And we miss some important aspects. An experience I had one time during the pandemic, a spiritual group got together. And typically we would do a hands-on healing as part of our class. But during the pandemic, that wasn't the case. So what we did was we focused our minds on healing. We focused on healing, and we focused on the person to be healed. And as I am doing this, as I am focusing on this, I begin to sense and to see thoughts, energy, mystery from the rest of the group. We had come together, briefly come together as a single force. It was a mysterious experience. And it opened up my mind to this whole idea of what this unification is about. Now, if you want to try this little experiment, it may not work the first time or even the second time. Experiments do not always work out very well in the beginning, but with practice and observation, you see the areas that need to be tweaked a little bit. So the idea here is, and it's very similar to a circle, the idea here is that a group of you come together, you focus on something. All of you focus on the same thing. When I am conducting a healing for my Sunday morning classes, I instruct everyone during the guided meditation to focus on what it felt like to be nurtured by another, and what it felt like to nurture another, to recall that sensation, to become immersed in that sensation. Because that is the expression of love. Love is to nurture. So when you come together, you focus, everybody focuses on that. And then allow, see, that is, focusing is the initiation. And then you have to release. This is how you expand your awareness. You release the necessity. You release the hold you have on yourself. And you become a receptor to everything. And as everything becomes received into you, it begins to merge, it begins to form into something, a mystery, an experience, and that's what you're wanting. It's just a thought, it's an idea for you to try. If you like this, take a moment and like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have other information there. It moves through a gamut. We are a spiritualist organization, so there's information there on spiritualism. There's information there on esoteric teachings, spirituality, self-improvement, lots of stuff. We also have links to books. Members have access to some downloadable material that we put together and provide for you. It's not something that's on our everyday basis. It takes time to draw things together. And then there's life to go through as well. But take a moment, browse our website for information, articles, browse our YouTube channel for information. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share this with you.